Hello everyone, my name is Walter Bailey and I'm going to be doing my argumentative speech on should performance enhancing drugs be allowed in sports. And I want you to think about, maybe your favorite sport. Maybe it's basketball, football, soccer, track, or golf, which I play. You watch athletes run fast, jump high, and play harder than most people ever could. It's inspiring and it's exciting to watch, and it shows what people can do with hard work. But now, if you really think about it, what if those amazing performances were not just from training and talent, but from enhancement drugs? So that brings you to the important question of should performance enhancing drugs be allowed in sports? And I truly believe the answer is no, because performance enhancing drugs should not be allowed because they make sports unfair no matter what sport it is, and they can seriously harm the athletes, and it takes away the true meaning of what a sport is for the people. And let's talk about, first, we're going to talk about how the fairness of sports is. Sports are supposed to be fair. Athletes spend years training, practicing, and improving their skills. They work hard every single day to compete at the highest level. But if some people use performance enhancing drugs, they gain an advantage that others can't have and will not have. These drugs can make people stronger faster and help them recover more quickly from injuries. That means the competition between these different sports is no longer equal. And some people might say, just let everyone use them, but that still wouldn't be fair. Not every athlete has the same access to certain drugs. Some have more money, better trainers, better doctors. That means they could get better or safer drugs than others. So instead of it being about talent and effort, sports would become about the money and access and how people are using these drugs to perform in better ways than normal people would. At that point, we're no longer asking who worked the hardest, we're asking who has the best drugs and who uses them the most. And that is what sports should not be about, no matter what sport you're playing. Secondly, I'll talk about the health and safety of this drugs. Performance enhancing drugs can be very dangerous. It's pretty self-explanatory, but they can cause serious problems like heart issues, liver damage, high blood pressure, and even mental health problems like mood swings and depression, which is a problem in all sports in general. Some of these problems don't happen right away. It's a long-term effect. An athlete might feel stronger at first, but over time the damage can get worse and worse and ultimately make you not as good of an athlete. In some cases, it can even lead to early deaths from these different athletes that you just have no idea about. If these drugs were allowed, athletes would feel pressure to use them just to keep up, which is not okay. Even if they don't want to, they might feel like they have no choice if they want to compete with everyone else. Because if they don't use them, someone else will, and that person will have advantage over them in their sport. So it's not really an actual choice anymore, because some people feel like they're forced to do because they want to compete with people who they might not be better as, but feel like they're so far behind even though they're really not. It's just the use of drugs. This is very dangerous, especially for the younger athletes, because kids and teenagers look up to professional athletes and they want to be just like them, which can be scary to think about. If this drug use becomes normal in sports, younger athletes might start using these substances too, even before their bodies are fully developed. This could cause serious long-term damages throughout every sport and all ages. Sports should help people stay healthy, not put them in severe danger. Third, some people argue that allowing drugs will make sports more honest, but they also say that since some athletes already cheat, we should just allow it and regulate it instead, which is just crazy to think about. This doesn't actually fix the actual problem. If drugs were allowed, athletes would keep up. Athletes would keep looking for new and stronger ones to get ahead. It would turn into a never-ending race to gain an advantage, no matter what the risk is. This would also be very hard to control. Who decides which drugs are allowed? How much is too much? Or how do we make sure everyone follows the same rules within the drugs? Different countries and organizations might have different rules, which makes things confusing and unfair. So instead of solving the problem, it could even make things worse. Finally, let's just talk about what sports really means. Let's think about what this sport really means. Sports are about hard work and dedication and pushing yourself to be the best. They teach us important values like discipline, teamwork, and never giving up. When we watch athletes, we admire their efforts and their journey. But if performance-enhancing drugs become part of sports, that meaning starts to disappear. Winning would no longer be just about hard work. It would have to also be about what drug someone is using, which is crazy. Fans might stop trusting what they see. When someone breaks a record, people might wonder, do they really earn it, or were they just using drugs? That doubt takes away the excitement and inspiration that sports are supposed to bring, which is a big problem throughout all sports, even to today. In conclusion, performance-enhancing drugs should not be allowed in sports, in my opinion. It just makes competition unfair, and it puts a bunch of athletes at risk, and they take away the true meaning of what sports is really about. Sports is really about real effort, real raw talent, and real achievements, and not just based off of someone taking drugs. So I would lastly just say, let's protect what makes sports special. Let's keep all the competition fair, athletes safe, and everyone honest of what they're doing. And that is my side of that. I do not think enhancement drugs should be allowed. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.